One of the elements of a good tenant screening process is to create and use rental criteria. We've already talked about using the first qualified applicant rule, and the best tool that you can have, we're going to put it up on the screen now, is a list of rental criteria. Rental criteria are standards that you use to judge people on a first come, first served basis. They help you in determining if somebody is qualified based on your standards. They also help the applicant to decide whether they should spend any time applying, if there's money to be put down, if they should put that money down, so on and so forth. Now, if you look at the board now, we've got some rental criteria up here. All of these things, everything that's on this list on the board, is what I'm going to call a risk factor. Something about each of these things could make someone risky. So let's talk about them individually. Identification. Why require this? Because many renters steal identities and apply as someone else. You need to make sure that they are who they say they are. So if they apply as Paul Smith, make them show ID that they're Paul Smith. Employment. It's relevant, their employment and their consistency, because you need to know that they have the ongoing ability to pay their obligations, such as rent, utilities, so on and so forth. Income. If you are renting a $5,000 a month home, you don't want to be renting that to someone who doesn't have enough income to make that payment. So income is relevant. Many landlords have what they call the triple rent rule. They say if someone wants a $5,000 a month apartment, they must make $15,000. The federal government's guidelines generally are people should spend about 1/3 of their income on housing. So you can adjust that rule however you want, but have some type of income criteria. Rental history. Have they been evicted before? Do they owe previous landlords money? Very relevant, because the best indicator of future performance is past performance. If they've been a bad tenant before, they're likely to be a bad tenant for you. If they've been a good tenant before, they're likely to be a good tenant for you. Credit history. It's relevant whether they pay their bills or whether they don't pay their bills. It's also relevant if they have lots of creditors waiting to garnish their wages, they're not going to be able to pay your rent. So if there's judgments and there's people that they owe money to and you rent to them, expecting them to have enough income, they might not, because their wages might be garnished, their bank accounts might be garnished. So it's very relevant what their credit history is. And this is probably the biggest factor that causes landlords problems. Criminals present enormous risks for landlords. And so we understand we're a second chance society, and sometimes people make mistakes, and it's fine to give people a second chance. But it also generates risk. So you need to determine at what level you're willing to take the risk. A common rule is that rentals should not be renting to people who have committed serious crimes within the last 4 years, or who are on parole or probation. Generally, that is because those people present incredible risks. Sometimes as much as 2/3 to 3/4 of those people recommit the crime. People on parole or probation, if you rent to them and they break their parole and they get sent back to jail, you have a real problem with an apartment full of stuff and somebody that can't pay the rent. So as much as we want to give people a second chance, it's legitimate to have criminal history criteria and other criteria. So we encourage you to set your own criteria, to disclose these up front to renters, to have them on your website, to have them at your rental property, have them everywhere, plaster them all over the place, so everyone knows that yes, you have standards and exactly what they are, so that the good renters can say, no problem, I meet those standards, and start having a good relationship with you as a customer. Hope this helps. We'll see you later.